What are some decent paying jobs you can get if you were a C student in high school? Nobody doing the hiring is going to give a shit about your high school grades. True. You either graduated or you didn't. They care about the diploma, and when it comes to high school, they don't care much about it even then. You get paid for risk, responsibility, skill, and rarity. With only high school, it'll take some luck and a long time to work up the skill angle, and nobody's going to give you responsibility out of the gate. Either which leaves risk if you want some pay, and even then there are a lot of other people in your shoes competing with you, so the bonus that comes with risk is reduced by the lack of rarity of what you can offer. Gray area stuff tends to pay more. You could probably find work in the legal portions of the sex industry and expect to bring in some money. To all the people saying they don't care about your diploma, they care enough to ask if you have it, to set it as a minimum job requirement. You can lie if you want, and in most places, you'll probably get away with it. But if they didn't care at all, they wouldn't ask. And I've never lied on a resume and can't imagine myself doing so. Your grades in high school only matter if you're trying to get into college. Employers don't care as long as you graduate. Some employers don't even care if you graduated. I'm on my third big boy job in my degree field, STEM field. I'm 33 and not one single fucking interviewer has asked for proof that I even attended college. It kinda pisses me off. Like the day I turned 21, I walked confidently into Speedway and picked out a six-pack, strolled up to the register, and the cashier said, "That'll be X dollars please." No, bitch. I finally have these credentials that allow me to do this. Your damn Skippy gonna check them. Believe it or not, air traffic controller. My uncle makes $155,000 a year full federal benefits, and he was a high school dropout who obtained a GED. The job is really about a set of natural skills that only about 40% of the population has. It may be you. An apprenticeship for any of the trades that pay well. Electrician, HVAC, plumber, etc. The US is in the middle of the largest shortage of skilled labor in its history. You will have plenty of opportunities. I don't think anyone asks about HS grades, could be wrong. They don't. I'm in a trade union in the Northeast, and when I signed up they did need to photocopy my diploma. But they don't care about specific grades. My last day of high school consisted of walking around to all of my failed classes and seeing if I could make an assignment up on the spot to bring me up to a D so that I'd have enough credits to graduate. One of my teachers said I didn't enter a grade 4 assignment. "You did that, right?" Yeah, I did that. It was a pass or fail science experiment, so it's either an A or F. He gave me a C, probably knew I was full of shit but didn't care enough to ruin me. And 3 days later I graduated. 9 years later I was making $100K and haven't dropped below that any year since. That's how much grades don't matter. It's way more important that you have a clean criminal record than be an honor student in high school. I can't figure out why more people don't get this. If you were decent with numbers and practical math, look into machining. I was a D student and am currently making $20 an hour in a state where the minimum wage is like $8. Employers typically want something more tangible than grades. You're more likely to get asked about the projects and groups you've been involved in and the skill that came from those opportunities than being asked for your transcripts. They want to know you got your diploma or GED and then why you have skills for the job you're applying for. Also, side tip, if you're looking at a job that says, college degree preferred or something to that effect, apply anyways. There's no promise that an applicant with a college degree will apply, and the company may need to fill the position quickly, giving you a higher chance of getting hired. Federal government. There are thousands of job postings, many of which don't require a degree and are open to the public and recent grads. They do, however, require high grades on state exams passed out every few years, at least a few years of experience in the same field, and have some absolutely absurd competition. Last year, I sat an exam for a position as a library assistant for an inner-city library. It was part-time, paid barely over minimum wage, and required a year of experience. There were over 3 dozen people sitting that same test. Just something to think about. Postal Service USPS always hiring, you just gotta be willing to work. But $18.56 starting ain't bad. My dad worked there for 35 years and is retired at 56. He loved it too. He recommends it to me as there are many options such as being a carrier or clerk. I'm definitely thinking of going down that path. My favorite high school teacher and coincidentally my favorite college professor said nobody outside these walls are going to care if you passed with a C or an A, all they care about is whether or not you passed. College added on, there's no such thing as a C diploma or an A diploma. Because of the number of people replying not in my field. Yes, some fields it matters. 98% of fields, it doesn't. I've never met someone that lost out on their career because they got a C average in college, though I'm sure there's a career out there that it's happened. The point is, those fields are the minority. Good grades doesn't always convert to physical skill and knowledge. You can have an A+ average and be terrible in your field because you can't figure out how to apply your knowledge. High school grades don't matter, it's what you do afterward to get a good paying job. I got S grades in high school, but I picked the right path and am on my way to graduate in 3 months with a great job already lined up afterward. High school grades can suck my nut. If you're a good communicator, get into sales, then upgrade into the industry. Motivation, flexibility and bite will bring you forward. Automotive, railways or aviation, 70K at age 30, 100K at 45. Can confirm. I left with nothing, I mean nothing. Now in B2B sales, high-tech industry. I just got my head down after school, liked the job and built a reputation. Great money. There's a job for everyone in this world if you have the right attitude. Hey friend. Take it from a former C-grade student. During the parent-teacher interviews in my senior years, I was told by my careers advisor to give up my dreams of being an engineer because I was behind the other students. But guess who's an engineer now? Fuck you, Ms. Bird. It's about finding something you want to do, and that it can be daunting, but if you want it enough you will find avenues to where you want to be, dude. So don't worry about your high school grades. Show them you have a work ethic and that you're willing to put in the hard yards. There is a huge demand for HVAC technicians and plumbing service professionals. After a few years of experience and some time in trade school classes you can definitely start making a good living. Software engineer, apparently. Plays nice. Eventually, people see your commitment to doing the bare minimum to get by as efficiency. Never give up. Depends on where you are. In Seattle most of my server friends make between 50-80K a year, working 20 to 30 hours a week with zero notable education. When I was in high school I got nothing better than a D. But I was smart, just bored. I joined the Navy nuclear power program and passed the training. I'm no longer in nuclear power, but my non-college graduated friends who are working at the local nuclear power plant after being in the Navy are making 6 figures. So if you got nothing but a C just because you wanted to be someplace else but relatively intelligent, there's an option for you. The real rub of it is, the best thing to do is get a few community college courses under your belt. If you have a college GPA, most hiring places won't look at your high school transcript. Or, being licensed in most trades are a sure bet. To risk sounding like my old man, the average age of people in the trades, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, etc., are all getting older, so there is a demand for young people. They pay exceedingly well when you've topped out, and not too bad as a noob. And they don't care if you even graduated or not, so long as you're willing to work. High school grades show that you can follow directions when asked. If a job came down to 2 equal candidates where one has 2.5 and the other has a 3.8, it may be the difference. I think communication skills are most important in an interview though. I was a C/B student throughout high school. I was pretty depressed during and after, especially after having my offer rescinded from 2 universities. And it wasn't until 2 years after working at minimum wage jobs and doing manual labor on a lobster boat that I started thinking about my future. I went to adult education and boosted my grades, and am currently working on a master's degree in wildlife conservation, which I never thought would be possible for me to do. Whether you choose to take up a trade, go back to school, or forge your own path, it is never too late to do so. You're always going to be younger than you can be when you decide to make a change for the betterment of your life. Non-destructive testing. It's what I do. It's a skilled trade that isn't overly physically demanding but pays well and has a lot of perks. You can get into it by getting hired by a company and getting trained, or going to a community college for a short time, or going to a special school that focuses on NDT. That last one is expensive but fast. I recommend it the least. I went to community college for a year. I mostly ultrasound welds for a living and it's awesome. Some of my colleges x-ray them, And most of us also use dye-penetrant and magnetic particles to check welds and other things. You start out in the dollar teens, after a year or so you get bumped into the $20s, a year or two after that you are in the $30s, then you can get more advanced certificates and specialize, you can get up to $100 an hour without college by the end of your career. It's not all wonderful though, lots of overtime is mandatory. The money is good, the work is good, but the overtime gets to me. Learn a trade. I can't stress this enough, not everyone is mature enough to do college at 18. You won't get the prestigious feeling of being a doctor or lawyer, but when you charge them a buttload to do a simple repair, then you don't care for the prestige. I'm an HVAC tech, but you do need a clean background. High school dropout with an ancient GED. It's not about what you did in high school, as you move through your chosen field, it's the understanding that education should never stop and it's your responsibility to continue to learn and grow skills. I landed my dream job this year at a STEM company, higher up in my chosen field than I ever thought possible because I quit worrying about what I didn't do and focused on my capabilities and accomplishments since then. Stop past tripping, work hard today, and look to your future. Realistically, if you are planning / are going to college, high school grades don't matter at all, even college grades don't matter after your first job, the degree matters more. Really good grades are just necessary if you plan to go further and further into higher ed, high school to college, college to master's / PhD. The college grades seem to have mattered way more than my HS1s in my case. Went the further and further and further route. I had a 2. something coming out of HS. I made it to college, not my first choice, but found a decent place that took me and did better because I was able to focus on the courses I loved and ended up with 3.89. I spent 8 years working as a bartender and projectionist while continuing to do the things I loved before returning to grad school for an MFA. The high school grades kept me from going to the big awesome school, but I actually thrived at the smaller, more intimate place I ended up in. The good grades coming out of college certainly set me up for easily hurdling the requirement of my choice for grad school. But it was that 8 years of continuing to do the things I loved that really wowed them and got me into my first choice grad school in a program where those long practiced avocations could finally become my vocation. So yes, the grades mattered, but the high school ones less in the end than I expected. Which of a long way, God, I am such an academic now, of saying I basically agree with you, but feel like high school grades won't matter as much in the long run if you can find your way to succeed in whatever college you take on. As you said, no one cares that I went to a small state college. Just that I got the degree. At the grad level though, the college grades mattered, and in turn, it totally mattered that I went to a Big Ten university in my post-grad job search. Nobody has ever asked me about my grades at any level of education during the hiring process. Why you're a C student is the bigger issue. If it's a work ethic issue and you put off essential tasks to smoke pot and play Fortnite, then you're probably not going to do so well in the workforce in most cases. I was a terrible student in high school because I was bored out of my mind from learning little of any consequence outside of the academic world. Once I started learning things that were interesting and important, I became a great student almost overnight. I've been a self-employed mural artist for the last decade. Best job I've ever had, out of the 30 or so shitty jobs that preceded it, everything from chef to whitewater rafting guide to web developer. If you can find a way to make your own job, nobody gives a shit if you even graduated high school. I was a C student. My parents wanted me to go to college, so I reluctantly went to community college and actually ended up with better grades than I had in high school. It's amazing how much easier it is when you are interested in a subject. After getting my AS, I transferred to a 4-year and got my BA in history, admittedly, not very useful. After bouncing around for a while in my 20s, I got into the admin side of healthcare, which is more exciting than it sounds, and currently make about $200K / year. So all you C students out there, don't give up on yourself. President George W. Bush was a C student in college, but since he was extremely well connected, it didn't really matter. If you don't have connections or family money, you really need to make an effort to compensate by being more competitive. To get into a good school and get scholarships, you really need those grades. After that, well, the trades are always looking for good people to enter. We still need electricians, plumbers, carpenters, pipefitters, painters, roofers, etc. You can go to a trade school instead and possibly do just as well as some college folks. College isn't for everyone, but the trades are looking for new folks. I graduated high school by a hair. I tried community college but I wanted that money. I started in telecom customer service when I was 22. I'm in the same industry, UCAS/conferencing, and the second employer over the 20 years. I'm now a client director/account manager. I make $130K plus, base plus commission. Since the coronavirus, I'm making a lot more. Natural disasters are, sadly, very good for business. Decide what field you want to get into now and start at the bottom and make your way up. Instead of 4 to 6 years of college, basically those early years were my college. I work from home also, full time. I make $30 to $40 an hour as a casino table games dealer. We also get a 20 minutes paid break every hour, full health, dental, vision, 401k with match, and those benefits extend to my wife and kids. They have a huge cafeteria where they feed you, free soda machines in the break room, unlimited free Mountain Dew will be my downfall. They have booked Six Flags closed all day just for employees, take employees to major sports events, good holiday parties with raffles and food. Very easy to pick up days or give away days. Graduated high school, went to college, and here I am. Thank you for watching Reddit Space. Please subscribe if you love these Reddit stories.